Hello, CNN and Fox News. This is New York Game. I like to donate the story of it because there's a whole bunch of stories with it to New York Game, Hartford Game. It's about a bunch of people recorded and confessed. It's recorded nothing personal because I don't know them. But in some context, they're pretending they know me as they're not. Because Interbridge, they forge names, switch names, put fake arresting officers, attaching little kids to fake locations through time, fake words. When I was in middle school, people I don't know approached me lying in a pattern tied to a where I didn't tell them about what I knew about what they were talking about. But interbranch family members through time are recorded with a pattern of making confessions about their roles with overt criminal enterprises with the area and with my street in particular, and with the witness protection program too, used by former director of the FBI, a whole bunch of FBI, CIA and their family members, a whole bunch of natures of federal crimes, judges retired and standing, whole bunch of people associated with forensics cliques, legal and criminal body dumping spots, especially if made up, because the actors associated that with predicate act crime roles with people associated with the media, military, foreign and domestic, recorded how maintain criminal foreign influence. Whole bunch of people with the Leahy family and tied to them, forging names, switching names, crimes with a whole bunch of natures of judges and courts. Federal crimes, former director of the FBI down, recorded crimes with this Leahy family with Dylan's, with crimes with children, with my new and past neighbors, with them, real estate crimes, with a whole bunch of people through time, various natures. Because this is also how because the courts are preventing mandated law, sickly, distinctly, and sickly, non-distinctly in collusion, grouped also with the Weathersfield Police that are also individually grouped and together criminally acting through time. Mayors retired and standing are recorded, confessed, demonstrated criminally involved. Now, some people are going to deny this, but they can't deny it if you allow the sequence shifts to be reported. In other words, mandated law to be followed and something in writing. Since I was a kid, they wouldn't put anything in writing. This is tied to the judges attaching people to fake conversations. And even especially how they have all the women judges, they have women with the state attorney's offices recorded confession police forms with the courts leading up to and in cases, a whole bunch with New Britain Superior Court, leading up to and in district court cases, leading up to and in the Ninth Circuit case from Connecticut, but that was in Manhattan with a proven tied sequence shift tied to more federal crimes with people, a whole bunch of police forms, foreign and domestic military, foreign and domestic with fire departments, medical campuses associated with this. Weathersfield intercities though, and locations next to it, and the Weathersfield town offices, and then they're pretending to be against that. No, because they're misprisoned. They pretend to be against what they're in the background of her. Oh, we have to like rely though. These are evidences racketeering nature roles that originally instill. I'm not a lawyer, not police form, not racketeering, organized crime roles that kept witch trials motivated. Keeps all victim predators because they knew those people would have to counter with no one understood, but they would have to blame other things, others themselves, and then value those formal fact treatments. Blame the other things, others themselves too. They knew they would have to blame the real causes of predicate acts on groups perpetually, incapable of discerning the real group, the real crime methods that are keeping that the outcome because after there's already before there were sophistication, this was sophistication here. That's why they have glorified criminally foreign influence zoning laws involved with the fact treatment nature torture of our founders, which is not being allowed understood. We have criminally foreign influence positions with our human fact treatment nature, intersciences, criminally foreign influenced. Delusions wrought. Victim predators of a child abuse method recorded how intercampuses of each set talents sickly non-distinctly, like the campus of the little kids on Franklin Avenue, of the campus of the little kids on the corner of New Park Avenue and Park Street. The same people involved, the same educational department, UConn. See, these are people manifest with life progressions, especially with psychology. They used to have brainstorming. See that brainstorming me that phrase? See, when they say they use the words like passive aggression, for example. These are pretending people to behavior and to fake words. If you're going to pay attention to someone with fake words, fake sequences, fake ties to others, valuing that having been done to them in the past, you're going to value means to get away with behavior racket roles. They have their own patients and criminals involved with them criminally further, with the further recorded how Justice Department, a whole bunch of private with it too, manifest like with an O'Connor family. I don't know. Never had a personal conversation with the O'Connor I knew years ago involved. Foreign and domestic police forms, New York to here. A whole bunch of girls with the women now with the name Alicia involved with criminal uses of the databases of CCSU and of Trinity College, but from off campuses. And see now, if they debate that, we look wrong. But it was recorded how that was maintained. What plotted the Trade Center attack. It used Joe DeMoro, his roles with criminal foreign influences. It used his roles with Mike Kerr, with Heather Hansen, her brother. I don't know her brother's names. Her father and mother. Real estate crimes with them. With my new and past neighbors involved. With an untimely death years ago, and then recent ones that are tied to on-off Trinity College. Untimely death, real, especially if made up, because these are people of a whole bunch of natures of other federal crimes, sequence shifts, and other natures of crimes, like identity thefts, like sequence shifts. This is obfuscating consciously, what methodically, what is sequence true, inherent true, active true, and progressive true at the same time, and not denying exceptions. And that reveals evolution. That's science. That's the free speech that answers correctly. But we have been prevented that. We have a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court through time sustaining lies through their own kids. These are a whole bunch of people with the various natures of courts with their own kids and prosecutors. A whole bunch of people with doctored medical families, foreign and domestic, maintain manifest from what I originally knew it was going to stay manifest, exploit therein with the like progressions, inside negative value nature progressions, acts in nature that nature itself is going to cause until the campus Marcius' original value and this nature of science using how and why we are each individual is simultaneously grouped and grouped as a species. This trinity is a value/value nature relationship is in demonstration to us always. Who prays? This is its course of how to wake those beings. One way redeems. What you want to understand is the Old Testament, is the Quran in sequence, valuing the sequence. This is where value is inside. Where invisible is still discernible, distinct natures that are invisible but still discernible, valuable as a nature of volume. Only the extent of it is debatable. But we have offensive physical delusions, criminally foreign influence, human fact cheating nature again, categorically into sciences. Invested, this nature has the concentrated value of the intercampus systems, database relationships in relationship to what's going to cause positive or negative value nature using the identity of the ground, not for a green lawn, without being an identity of relationship to the ground, its water natural systems, what it's going to be allowed to cause evolution means from nowhere. But in order for the means from nowhere system to work, we have to allow its identity of the relationship to the ground to work. The one that Native Americans are trying to figure out how to condense the words, because you opened up a whole bunch of fronts that make them need to fight about that first. And they don't have time to fight about that first or strength, so they just have to relax. You know, and this worse than divide and conquer. This is a perpetual breaching organized crime method, an identity of negative value nature progression that knew that nature would cause negative value nature. But why would someone do that? Make the whole species cause negative value nature progressions and blame it on other and not realize, because they knew they could control the life progressions in it. The roles with defenses of pseudo positive, the sensibilities, how they can play that to each identity of the ground location, each nature of sophistication in layers short of being able to understand what they can only understand through discerning and using evidences, using where people are exploiting exception nature. What is true always? What is a quality of fact keeping nature not reliant upon? Oh, it's a cold world. Forget the perfect world. Forget it. It's not. This is not. We can't have it. That's unfathomable. I mean, that's unacceptable. That is a. You can't defend that. Not by accident. This is what forgiveness is for. You can't defend that in the quality of fact keeping nature it requires to deal with the organized crime conversation that the religions are about. Right up front in the beginning, you have to understand up to this part right here. It's about how the sciences share an identity. This is about pure science. And what this is about the science that criminally foreign influenced fact keeping nature reception through intercampuses, human sciences, no longer valuing how we are individual, why we are too individual, grouped in species, nature, or volume. The Trinity. That's a physical Trinity manifest and demonstration what the Trinity is really about, what Jesus Christ is really about. Jewish, what that is really about. Juxtapose, juxtapose energy's wall, wall's inherent C. High, it sees high. This is the high. This is about positive's identity. It wants us to understand its identity. Not, see, now the ancients understood to be the quality of fact, human nature, of science here to discern honestly and who's being dishonest because of the nature. Criminal insidiousness nature is positive, has positive needs by positive too. See, we have criminal insidiousness nature, stewards of logic. That's self-defended. We have courts, precedents recorded, leveraged upon their pseudo ratiocination, their criminal forward influences, their physical delusions, long, and that engineered worse. Whole bunch of nations have a whole bunch of mental diagnoses that are designed to exploit, maintain facilitated crime methods with offensive evidence reception. They harass people, for example. They're recorded using knowing systems and stuff like that, communicating this person is going to come by this part because he's jogging. And they sustain federal crime roles like that. Just they're worse than a whole bunch of methods and natures of identity theft and victim predator nature rolls with it, sickly distinctly in each nature of city. So to keep this undiscerned effectively, how sickly non-distinctly. And so the devil is an organized crime method. I'm not Lord, I'm not peaceful, I'm not criminal. This is what is connected to Little Rap Guy and Friends. They're going to make a movie and plays about this. And that's because the plays are with this theater at the finite level, and we're at the group level, and the big theaters. I believe it's called the Grand Theater at Foxwoods, is a good one in Connecticut. It's a good one. But I think I don't know the MGM and what other whatever theater. YouTube, the greatest theater going. The networks are already long victim predators of this database crime method. But all the online platforms are too, because they're forced to be, in other words, they're keeping all victim predators when they have the online platform. People go before Congress and they have them speak to us. Facebook was used by former director of the FBI, other nations in collusion, our military, foreign military in collusion. But everyone's so dishonest, already having been invested, because that's where they have the press debriefed, communications experts, because there's all shared undercover. So there's shared lies. You just can't explain things without messing up their whole system. They have some kind of system where on off CCSU, on off Wesleyan College, or are associated with a whole bunch of people associated with a house that came into my fourth grade, and with someone before that. With confessions. I never had a class of them either in grammar school, but they went to my grammar school. And on my street, two O'Brien brothers. Now these are people associated with Newtown, Sandy Hook people involved. There was a principal child offender up the street from me, like a mile from me. And there are further people involved with that, foreign and domestic. It has something to do with what they're hiding with relationship to agencies and people like that. I don't even know. But they're with narratives and with police, but they make all kinds of fake police reports because these are people that steal identities, have their kids act and stuff like that growing up because they're exploiting insights. They're exploiting Justice Department racket rolls with database and needs for it because of like all these mixed a whole bunch of nations with involve federal crimes with evidence, offensive evidence reception crimes, sequence shifting crimes, and crime rules by the police force because they're putting people into narratives and pretending to perceive things that requires them to keep everyone with their mouth shut. No free speech and worse than her identity stolen. So since I was in grammar school, people I never had conversations with were pretending other and associated with these O'Brien brothers and associated with this Ray Clow that came in when I was in fourth grade. Then I was in fifth grade. I don't know if he was in my class the whole year or just at one time. Some kid from Italy, a Joe DeMoro. He has a Joe DeMoro cousin from Rocky Hill, a Tony DeMoro, a Paula DeMoro, associated with a whole bunch of people from my town, foreign and domestic. A whole bunch of people next to with a Paul Zano, involved with a whole bunch of police like Johnson and Wales. Yeah, people associated with Johnson Wales, crimes with child offenders, even sexual offenders and medical ones. But these are also other natures of crimes where they need that to be attacked sometimes because the reactions call the experts in that are with the interbranch hiding their lie progressions. Their roles with such because they're hiding their lie progressions and they're actually recorded natures. They're pretending to be for voting rights because they're criminally foreign influenced victim predators. That's all that's like realized for an organized crime method that's forced there. There are New Britain Superior Court and our state's attorneys recorded and confessed in collusion with judges retired and standing, attaching little kids to fake conversations, fake locations through time, fake sequences, fake natures of fake relationships completely to people that are bad and facilitated with this on and off campuses thing. Oh, but those are good because they're titles. This is divide and conquer. Those are victim predators for what raised them. with next to the schools. See, then they want us to debate each other while they're not putting anything in writing. They're using little tricks, like, in other words, here's a magic trick. Well, let's just put a charge, even though we know we're just going to kill. This guy wasn't even the arresting officer. He wasn't even in a location with that officer ever in his life. We'll put that, and then we'll say, "Oh, what are you talking about? When there was no writing, we showed you a charge." They put a charge with no writing. They admit, confess, recorded. They have a detective Samuda on off CCSU, intercampuses, Hartford, New Britain, Weathersfield, involved with child offenders, with drug clicks, with from a whole bunch of people associated with steroids, a whole bunch of people associated with medical marijuana, as ones pretending to be against such, all kinds of natures of crimes with drugs, with overt gangs at the same time, using them federal crime. These are evidence racket rolls. Who you know is a racketeering, evidence racketeering natures, interbranch, individually grouped and together, misprision, victim predators, high predators, worse than the overt criminal enterprises, recorded how acting criminally with them 2 times, including with the overt. I forgot, New York, I was talking to you. These are people associated with crime rolls leading up to and then in the Trade Center attack. By pretending not to realize the sequence shifts and preventing mandated law and the fake news used to cover lie progressions, that's used to keep reactions at the Trade Center guy where they're arguing about values, value treatments, where they have shared policing of each age, worse than already negotiated with terrorism, righteous fear, because of how our kids are still. Our nations are shared here and there, overextended. So the agreement is to have them shared. Okay, we'll all stay equal then. We're in an identity of negative value nature progression, designed to keep each one only capable of blaming other things, others themselves, for the real causes of predicate acts. Mass criminal and seditious natures, mass wrongdoing, wrongdoers, self-valuing, tactically denatured native connection to what its evolution's fruits and gifts and means real. Fall in the field, CT. Now see. So Hartford, Connecticut, and New York game. Downtown Hartford has Fox Connecticut News, and they're recorded and confessed, involved with extortion of me, and with identity thefts, and with a whole bunch of police forms on off WFSB, associated with criminal uses of coaches too that I never had personal contact, because they know they have coaches and teams, and especially a coach of a Casper guy is involved with child sex offenders that are medical are involved also. Also, other natures of child abuses that are medical families. All kinds of crimes with databases. This sustains crime methods and roles facilitated that are preventing people from free speech. I mean, from calm means to counter a whole bunch of natures of federal crimes that everyone are facilitated to, because of how they have all these natures of liars, the training of everything, each age, not just too soon, but all that mixed is used to facilitate. Oh, but that we have the right to do that undercover with those kids, and then pretend that, and that's what we perceive. These are offensive evidence reception predators, each age connected, and because they're maintaining, we have the IT departments when they use the narratives. Oh, don't write anything online because you won't get a job. That's associated with the crime method that used the torture tactics and their identity theft rackets bonded, racketeering rackets bonded, the organized crime breaching method bonded, that American history really is about. And they built that again to have everybody blame other things, others themselves. They facilitated things like KKK, overt criminal enterprises, whole bunch of nations, suits and ties, fake punks with justice having psychology think for them, delusions raw, whole bunch of organized crime method rolls with them, misprision criminality. Oh, that's my colleague. Fake sides. Oh, I don't even like that colleague. Fake middles. Trinity is correlation. Nature is Trinity. Sequence true. Inherent, active, and progressive means value. Yeah, I'm not even. Too. So that's why exception nature is so important in demonstration of that. This is how to think. Ratiocination and pseudo ratiocination are one volume. It's one identity of relationship to itself and the value of that. This is about the nature of all. This is volume science, and all the parts that are theoretical. This is volume theory. Other people with other volume theory using the word volume theory, especially where they have Big Bang theory juxtaposed with that. Uh, so this is getting a long video now. The point is, we can make. I figured out how. We'll start the game. We get the most. We make the news people, the news place owned. Like in other words, we stack the means, but first we have to have the news means, and it'll be totally owned. So no one's going to fight about it and stuff like that. All we need is to go is the people who's going to be the I'll tell the stories so that we don't have to fight about that. It's all owned by the system, and this is what it's about: the trade center attack. So it's going to be worth money, and then there'll be a book worth money. Get me the most forsaken. Whoever hears, God hope that one part, at least one person in one of those crazy places, crazy because they have what is it pretended positive that you can't defend as positive and us at the same time. I just remind. So we need they built people stacking in New York City that was forced, the only let realized afforded able to be afforded by any nature of wealth. Whole bunch of nations mixed, not allowed to tell that. And that's exploited. And that's exploited when they're arguing about where and how we don't have free speech, and that's being what really is hurting us. And the people pretending other are sequence shifting. Because then you have to give up on things, on quality of fact sheet nature. But then they expect you to be full integrity. They can't take full integrity. That's recorded. Since I was a kid, people with New Britain Superior Court, other courts, people with their family members associated with Hartford courts, Middletown courts, were in collusion, facilitated to collusion with a whole bunch of natures of federal criminals, people from the FBI, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin down. Whole bunch of federal crime acts roles with me sustained. Each campus I went to. See, but it's subtle. I couldn't explain that. I didn't realize it. This knows that this is adapting. This shows people that that they have sick leaders. But you know that this it's facilitating everyone to uses of the right to lie to what is criminally foreign influenced verbal federal crimes, self-valued, maintain effectively self-valued, and how. See, that's why you have to understand the recorded crime methods with the grammar schools. And I have to be able to counter it through the ones I know about right now. And I can only do that about the one near me with the child offenders further, especially if they made that up about that principal, because he's one of the ones recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with a Mike Levine and other Mikes, Mike Kerr, Jerry Kerrs, two Jerry Kerrs, and a Officer Jerry Miller is recently, like not too long ago, on Facebook, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated further involved also with parents being coached lies. And with WFSB, they're hiding lie progressions because they had worse roles than when I caught them with worse recorded. They know it's recorded. They're using online police for even sexual and even medical and even judicial crimes with female judges, crimes with kids. On off the state judicial branch offices too. On off their prison office or their court offices. All on off the state prison offices too. Same houses. All those people ties to a house in my area. /S. Facilitated to us. Now, see, these are people preventing me free speech and saying lies in the background. If you call up the police, they'll lie about what's actually recorded. They use wire crime methods, mail crime methods overt. Now, these are town offices used for this. They use the word motive so they can prevent people free speech and sustain sequence shifts, identity theft crime acts, verbal federal crimes. No means to response because the judges are forging games, switching games, hiding their federal crimes with areas with their police too, leading up to the Trade Center attack from off with CCSU Justice Department racket rolls. A whole bunch of crime rolls with Puerto Rico through time, through CCSU, really, with and the courts involved with them, as what is manifest with their lie progressions already from their fact treatment nature racketeering methods recorded, actual natures recorded. See, criminal insidiousness nature. See, this crime method knew that everyone would, like with witch trials, they would have to blame the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, like all this criminal insidiousness nature, wrongdoers, predicate acts on other things, and on others on group. They would have to label it to a group. Everyone's all mass victim predators. Styles of fake correlation nature's trinity, fake middle, sequence shifting styles. Defensive that is pseudo positive, that maintain self value, invest in self value. Now you can afford to allow free speech and mandated law. They can't afford to have a free election. They need to pretend other, so they need to pretend about voting. Just pretend voting means something to us. It doesn't. These are high criminals with their value treatments. What can be afforded now? What is owed? They owe. They know everyone owes. No, but they know the not everyone. They owe this is the free speech. Follow mandated law shows all the means. See, the reason they can't do that is how a whole bunch of nations associated with this with these crimes they do intercampuses of each age. The people at my middle school were involved. A whole bunch of people involved in my middle school I had nothing to do with were pretended other. All exceptions are recorded criminally having been criminally used for federal crimes. But they're police. They're pretending it's their right because they're crimes with former director of the FBI, with other nations. How this is maintained, they don't even understand, but through lie progressions. Not only, even when the court is affecting it, it was demonstrated, confessed, and recorded. A whole bunch of natures of federal criminal enterprises with these sexual circles. And that's all victim predators, or they're lonely because they're keeping everyone facilitated through sick stewardships of each age of fact, GB nature, each age of fact, GB nature, sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly being hurt by a breaching organized crime method. You think free speech spoke for one nature of city anywhere? Recorded did not. And we have offensive predators with suits and ties on those. The databases behind them evolved with federal crimes. They're pretending not to realize they're preventing mandated law to have it demonstrated. Now, the same people at each campus I went to, even a campus that's closed. I'll leave out that there was a good campus. What was it called? Montessori school. I like it, the Montessori school. Thanks, guys. Then I went to another school. And that's one of the schools involved with one of the families. I wasn't sexually abused or anything, but that's one of the people involved with child abuses and people with psychology, involved with a whole bunch of natures of federal crimes with kids, and with New Britain Superior Court, and with people with Hartford courts, and with their family members with crimes with intercampuses family members, like the Della Fair family, a whole bunch of criminal enterprises associated with probate court judges with them, real sick with their patients and criminals together in cases already federally criminal with areas, offensive evidence reception predators needs for it because there are already live progressions to each spot. They pretend they're about care for, they be a good person, help feed the homeless. You got homeless now, you owe them, especially. Forget about it. You never gave honesty a chance with Hartford, let alone New York City. And we're going to train with and as them. So who's gonna represent? You have to make sure because we have fake people undercover that are identities of the law that are victims, but they're victim predators, criminally foreign influenced. We have a shared policing nature here and there demonstrated by people from Puerto Rico, confessed and demonstrated, recorded by people from Puerto Rico, people from Mexico, people from Italy. This associated with the house in my area, indirectly and indirectly, like a Scalura family at CCSU. He didn't even go to the CCSU, but the people associated with him with a whole bunch of natures of federal crimes did. See, but I say it like that because that's how most people would say it. But it's really also that was facilitated. These are also how they keep. This is how the sequence shifts is important for that. What I'm trying to report first in sequence is the court's roles and the people with this Brendan Leahy and these medical families, the Lombardo family, people with the Pierce that I never had a conversation with. I don't know. There's she made a bunch of statements to me that are implying they make these statements imply they had conversations with me before. Not and these are people involved with the child offenders, but these are also Justice Department record roles, long time interbranch, military, military too. These are crimes with deans with and people with positions with each of the departments distinctly and non-distinctly maintain criminally foreign influence. And how roles with overt criminal enterprises, the same people with connected offensive evidence reception crimes. They pretend that's just natural police. Those are victim predators of a nature of child abuse that built the overt criminal enterprises the same way. Fake sides of correlation nature's trinity. Victim predators, blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures as forced to run in adaptive ways Demonstrate, teach, age, of fact, human nature. See that what adapts with fake pretending. This is they have standing. They're pretending they have the right to do that because of vetting. Oh, we're trying to see if this person is mentally healthy. These are people with drug crime roles with your kids of each age, different natures of all kinds of insights, how to exploit chemicals, reactions, relationships, things. Who's going to get hurt if they do this? How they're going to pretend to be up against it at the same time. These force the courts pretend they have the integrity to solve things they don't. That needs to be reported. There are recorded offensive evidence crimes through time with people at each of the campuses I went to, and then with crimes on and off them with strangers. And then those strangers pretend they know you. Then they can't do it on paper, though, because if that shows, the only reason they know you is because they're making you no means to counter fake conversations and fake ties to people that you don't know and or people that you only know of into databases. And these are the same ones interstate, New York City, Washington, D.C., Florida, Vermont, crimes over here, New Jersey. I don't know the name of this Ray Cololo's mother's family, but the Cololo family also with the New Jersey, New York, people involved with our story here. And with the child offenders with the trade center attack, a straight line of evidence of identity thefts, crimes with child offenders by the trade center investigators. Now, to be able to counter this and have the real news told, you have to understand the nature of their extortion at the trade center value treatment level, where we have natures of FBI cops with badges who are also the lawyers, our only voice, entertaining what you can't entertain, and our history told true at the same time, not by accident. These are child abuse victim predators, pure predators. The Constitution is standing abridged. All we have to do is be able to counter how they're exploiting the knave here and there simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, self-value that not understood here and there by our own, because they go, that's their job. They already valued that as criminal and seditious nature. They already had that exploited. There are a lot of progressions from there. Before there was sophistication, anyone. You think Barack Obama had free speech? Do you think that President Trump has free speech? There are state scenarios for as pseudo positive criminal and seditious natures. Long, having had that engineered, the line progressions from that. Engineered also consciously, methodically, group on misprision, blaming other things other than themselves, exploiting that misprision identities, fake sides. They have recorded, confessed all kinds of natures of federal crimes regarding IQ, regarding um, the types of jobs that have certain types of intelligence, I like that. All their treatments of evaluation of values like that are recorded criminally foreign influence, used by an organized crime method that our American history is really about. It's about what with also us to World War I. Wanted needed us to go to World War I. Forced the French to have to agree with um, Washington to help us win the revolution, and forced Washington to have to agree with him demonstrably. I didn't read that. That's demonstrable. He had to come to Wethersfield right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Yeah, and they had to leave overt slavery, still entrenched. And that was entrenched with his own slavery. This is the nature of extortion of kings by pretending, oh, dictator. They keep them names. They keep they keep misprising fake. They keep quality of fact cheaping nature state scenarios on top of everyone as criminal insidious nature. That is to the maintenance of itself. All we have to do is counter that because that's what all modern nations share needing to counter because it's not sourced by one. But to do it, you have to have a nature of forgiveness that is blaming what is semi ancient, not what is modern nations. Our founders didn't have free speech per this method, per this entrenchment that that keeps that method self-valued, which is an identity of relationship to the ground that causes negative value nature progressions, action nature. Join the YouTube channel of Romulus Wall, please. And watch you little rap guy and friends, please. YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. I hear you all the species coach. Each branch, fake branches lie. So New York game, there's a recorded pattern. They use Facebook also. The FBI, former director of the FBI down, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated a whole bunch of natures of child abuses, even sexual, even medical, even judicial, even interbranch, and sustained ways with women doctors of with only counters to such. How recorded and motivated as sick natures rolls with it is recorded too, and how they forced me to have sick name, have to use aggressive language like that. You guys preventing free speech. We have women judges doing this, forging names, switching names with the people that were the crimes when I was with the campus too. Same crime method, making confessions about the same overt criminal enterprises. The same people have recorded criminally involved with the uses of the witness protection program and wire crimes and mouth crimes with those people involved. Foreign and domestic military predicate acts like MPO Floyd's, like the ones associated with the people with this CCSU and associated on off it with this Justin Levinskis. I don't know his Lucinda. I don't know her last name. I don't want to say the wrong name. I think I did that once on Facebook. Lucinda something. And I said the wrong. I hope I didn't say someone's name. If I use your name, I don't know the names. They're, I can't get a response in writing since I was a kid, and that's what I'm reporting here. These are people that made a whole bunch of problems through time to pretend things were problems that weren't, and to pretend things out of sequence, and to pretend fake recorded things in the databases. The child trafficking, especially if they made that up, because they're really involved with attaching kids to fake locations through time, and how women are recorded motivated as that too as a nature, which has to be described because of criminal insidiousness. And see, this is also recorded a problem with lawyers through time, fake signs of fact cheating nature, and with too many physical delusions regarding science is originally still criminally foreign influence delusions raw. They're victims, but victim predators. They don't have the mental integrity to follow mandated law. That's all we need is recorded right now. Fake branches bomb and fall. WFSB, fix the fake news. So let's go because they recorded and confessed more Weathersfield parents and kids are recording confessed being directed to pretend things with interbranch drug clicks, child sex offender clicks they have more of their family members involved with other natures of crimes, whole bunch of people on and off stopping shops with police. But the name Mike Levine is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved federal crimes in one of them, and with this Kurz family and a Jerry Miller. And this they took my Facebook page. I was trying to get that taken care of. They keep delaying me from taking care of things. This Jerry Miller is involved further with this Kerr family with overt criminal enterprises, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, and with the Witness Protection Program House. They're involved with wire crimes, pretending they recorded things, the crimes with judges, with the kids. fake sequence shifting with them. A whole bunch of people tied to them. The Morrow families, a whole bunch of people associated with an Abruzzi family. Who knows where the Abruzzi family? There's a Mr. Abruzzi that used to teach at this grammar school 2 years ago. Where's he live? Who knows him? Because he's associated with people with CCSU, with further crimes, with child offenders, and with a detective Samuda, also with doctors, foreign and domestic, involved, real sick families with kids too, on off mobile gas station, foreign and domestic, Italian with these and Pakistani, has nothing to do with their culture. Culture is clear. There's this individual group species. These are fake punks with the flags. Confederate flag themed crime rolls too. Crimes with our military, foreign and domestic, Kuwaiti military, same ones with the crimes with the deans, with the crimes with the state police, same ones through time, crimes with the state forensics lab, with Billy Grosso's body, same ones, crimes with the forensics tied with the witness for protection tied to that the area. That's why they took my Facebook page. All my evidences are recorded. And that's it doesn't you say, oh, motives. That's criminal. You can't force sustained confessions about federal criminal about your roles with locations. That these are people are involved with child sex offenders further with the area too. Fake Facebook pages, fake YouTube pages pretending to be me. Identity thefts with WFSB, Fox Connecticut News. They use the pictures they got from them too, and their fake news on their fake YouTube pages with the Saudi families they use, also with already valued criminally foreign influenced fact sheets with this leading up to the war too. After that, no. So we have war crimes. There are a whole bunch of people with a social family. I don't know, but I don't know. I never have. They're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved further with private schools and military people involved with the medical corruption sides of the which is the worst roles with the judges, the worst roles too, and the police department sickly, distinctly and non-distinctly, not by accident, but especially medical women interbranch are the big problem with the men. See, because you'd think that would be an integrity with this. They don't care about little girls and women. They care about their life progressions and their fake positive. That's recorded actually. They're recorded delusions, raw victim predators, interbranch, various natures of courts on off their state judicial branch offices. A finance of him also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, and his cousin and men and women with police, foreign and domestic, and overt criminal enterprises are also involved with them and with a Dillon family with people associated with the body dumping spots of Billy Grasso and with WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, with other body dumping spots, with other recent police shootings that they have Crimax roles with those officers, those networks. Their databases are involved. They're preventing mandated law. They're stealing identities. WFSB attached me and my family fake sequences, fake title locations, fake. They attach they attach the my mother's family members to fake locations. Me, fake locations, fake ties to other people. They're forging names, switching names through time. I just keep begging you. You guys want to talk about the algorithm? Someone respond for these fakes. See, we have those criminals who are the criminal policing of the internet. They're indifferent to crimes with a former director of the FBI down with all the criminal involved. Whole bunch of people with undercover associated with it. A Mike Roberts, a Mike Pandolf. I had nothing to do though. They're all involved with the house in my area with the various natures interbranch, criminally involved. CCSU, Rocky Hill, Thai Dakotas. You guys have some sick punk fake things with these states and streams. They're keeping for themselves criminally, whatever it is. You know. and they're using it to wipe off their roles lying when I'm being extorted. Other people are being extorted. They're in the background pretending they don't realize because they're recorded with a pattern of tied mail crimes and wire crimes that will be realized the second they speak. Way worse. A whole bunch of people on off the location of Fox Connecticut News. A whole bunch of people on off religious spots like the downtown Hartford there, with the churches involved for the child offender roles. You guys don't want. I asked you guys online. That's what they. You can't. That's what they take down the Facebook for too. They're keeping only where you can go in because they're attaching each person, each age, everyone to fake words, fake locations. They attach that to one. They have to keep the narratives, their live progressions. They're hiding that from presidents. That's just all that's we look at. We have all these nations. We have to keep each other's lies. We have to share the policing of the stores, the states. People keep coming to the jail. Of course, they're going to keep coming to jail. They're making up fake charges too against people. They're using an identity of the ground for other natures and methods of crime. I just remind you should hurry up before I have to keep trying to figure out how to get a response for the interbranch, forging names, switching names. They know that we went there, and the court is involved with torturing each age of women in my family and other families. These are courts. They know that. But people aren't going to say that. They're not going to challenge judges who are offensively pretending passions and emotions criminally. My parents litigated for years. They took just to win an LRB case. Case was ongoing at the time of my father's death. Case/S. We're with the same people involved with these federal crimes against me, against people intercity, women and little kids even, because it's former director of the FBI down. A whole bunch of people, I don't care if they have badges, real sick on off CCSU, involve a whole bunch of natures of crimes. It's just your minds. Control your minds. Respond. So we're going to go describing further. They also have Russians involved with crimes with Hartford Hospital with them, and with fire departments with them, and with that narrative that's singling out the Russians. And they like that, the Russians there, because they're involved with the same rackets with psychology. Whole bunch of natures of crimes with that. Medicine crimes, physical delusion crimes, self-propagated that through them. I'll show you how to think right here. I'm not even a doctor. They recorded a whole bunch of misprision, a whole bunch of names stacking, federal crimes with their criminals undercover. So they pretend all the fact cheating nature rackets. Get them to one name and sequence. They sustain these crime methods against each age of fact cheating nature. Then and they force you to speak through others what there's no means to. Because they're making fake conversations that they're following people around with, calling people names like liars, as courts, liars. So get them to one name and sequence. These are media recorded election crime rolls with them. The crime method preventing the mandated law. Don't say you pretend. Oh, I thought it was the title. The mandated law says respond when someone tries to report things. You still got more child offender roles with the interbranch family members with their kids. You got sick punk fakes. Now CT breaks. Get them from the fake conversations with me and call out what they pretended. There are people, interbranch family members, further with the campuses. They know that they're caught already with the other campuses too. In a steady stream of crimes and of roles, how they keep everyone rolls leading up to the trade center. Well, let's go. Hurry up. Respond right now. Someone for them.